All right, we're introducing a new segment here where we talk about how to fix World of Warcraft. It's going to be called How to Fix World of Warcraft. And
And the actual name of the segment is "Why World of Warcraft Classic is Shit AIDS." So
that's
what
that's
was it that we're going to say about
a
World of Warcraft?
potential name for it. One of the things we were going to say is
Fucking it was two. It couldn't be cured, or
no. That's well. Hold on a second, because that's later in the notes too. But so I'll get to that. But it's important to point out that for our this is sort of an offhanded review, but it's also a lot of it's a big list of ways
it's our
that
typical in-depth coverage where we're able to understand every facet, every element of something that
yeah.
other people otherwise can't even comprehend.
We show our level of comprehension that's actually beyond something that or beyond what your average World of Warcraft fan has,
And
which
not
is
because we're so brilliant or genius, but just because other people are such idiots.
yeah, it's all really obvious, easy to fucking realize shit that anyone should be able to know, but for some reason people don't. Anyways, uh, uh, to start with, this video is just the introduction to this segment. We won't be getting into a lot of the details until a bit later, until our later videos, which
We're just
should be
gonna,
coming
yeah,
out on a weekly basis, maybe something like that.
yeah, we're in
Whatever.
no hurry to get this content or information out there.
Oh shit! I completely forgot to pick a relic. Whatever.
Man,
Anyways,
look at what World of Warcraft ruined again.
yes, World of
Because
Warcraft
something
fucked this up.
else.
Although I'm really just here for XP. I'm here
Yeah,
to be able to face it. Of course,
fucking
for our
voice
video
actors.
about World of Warcraft, it's very important to play Warframe, a game that is a better MMO than World of Warcraft. And
Better MMO, better group content,
better,
and
yeah.
fucking
This game,
PvP.
yeah, this game has better PvP, and this game also has better encouragement of cooperative play as opposed to
Better
World of Warcraft.
itemization. Yes.
Yeah, better
Way.
itemization,
Whoa.
better
Whoa. That's the
capability
thing
of
is,
earning the
we're
items
doing
that you
this
want.
because they just introduced the stupid World of Warcraft Classic. They're so bereft of ideas that they're actually just trying to farm out the old content.
The fans are also
The inferior content.
the fan base community for World of Warcraft is so blinded by nostalgia that they don't understand that they don't actually want World of Warcraft Classic, and they're starting to realize that right now, of course.
That's
Um,
another important element is people need to have realized a long time ago nostalgia is a faulty reason
it's a
to
false god.
appreciate or consume anything.
Yeah,
It's a false god like motivation. It's
yes,
like motivation.
it's a false god. But so our history for World of Warcraft goes back basically to the beginning of the game. We started playing at probably a year after the original release, though.
A year, maybe a little bit more than that, but it was before the first expansion.
Yeah, so it was back when what they call vanilla WoW, where it had no expansions and there weren't really many content patches. I think we started just before Anchorage, as we call it, or Anchorage, whatever the fuck. Uh,
It was a few months before that. It was like 6 months before that. They
well,
introduced that after I'd already gotten to
I
fucking
don't know
six.
because I quit after I think
Yeah, I don't.
3 months.
It's hard to tell. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It don't.
it's kind of nebulous. We kind of blocked out that whole point of our lives like a childhood rape because
Much like childhood rape.
yes, many things in common. Um, but we joined because there was
Yeah, a friend got us into it.
well, yeah, a couple friends.
Well, I mean,
We knew a guy who knew people who had accounts, and I think we, sort of played. They got off the game, so we played on their account for a couple weeks. But so it was me, you, and three friends. So we had like a full dungeon party because the dungeons in the
yeah,
game
it was the
are
perfect
five
setup.
mans. Yeah,
We had the perfect setup for doing this shit.
which also leads to one of the most crippling flaws in World of Warcraft in the original version and the
And for a long time
current
after they did expansions
to
too.
no to this day it's consistent, and that's the tank heal DPS setup.
They didn't even come up with a new name for tank. There's
Yeah,
no new name for tanking. It's like you have your fucking healers, your damage
yeah,
dealers, and then you
they
somehow roll
changed
in
nothing.
the fucking M1 Abram. And it's like, huh? What was
World
that? What
of
the fuck does
yeah,
that have to do?
World of Warcraft changed nothing about the paradigm of the tank nuke heal setup. They just went with the same old, same old.
The stupid lexicon of jargon you have to learn.
Yeah, the low IQ nerd
And
lifestyle shit,
that shit's
nerd
forgivable
jargon.
at least. That shit I
Yeah,
could
but
be
it's
like,
also very
it's
typical.
passable.
It
Yeah, that's
was.
not the issue. Don't ever be fucking misunderstood.
Don't get
I'm
it
not
twisted.
complaining that I'm not complaining that there's tanking, nuking, and healing. I'm sure people will fucking have a fucking bitch fit over that. Oh, you don't like that freaking shit. That's not the point.
Yeah, that
And
is how
also,
World of Warcraft fans
I
talk.
don't have to approve or disapprove. You
The
know,
fact is, it was just unoriginal, and World of Warcraft did nothing to add to it. It was done in other MMOs. It was a bad idea
EverQuest
in
in
other
particular,
MMOs.
yeah, bad MMOs.
It was
Most
it's
almost that. That's the
very
thing is
stiff, lazy,
MMOs
uncreative
sucked
design,
back
and
then.
World of Warcraft chose to maintain that those design concepts instead of doing anything new or fresh or more
Well,
fun
they
or
did
interesting.
something new and fresh. They added mounts.
Oh yeah,
The
that's right.
ability to not have to walk everywhere
Yeah,
after level 40.
there are a lot of really pathetic, emotionally based defenses of World of Warcraft, and we're not even really going to acknowledge them because they're just wrong on the face of it. None of them are arguments, and if you took every non-argument that every person on the planet made, you would never get anything done. And we're all about getting things done, as opposed to World of Warcraft fans who have never done anything of any merit
Which
in
is why
life.
we're critical of World of Warcraft. But I'm also trying to
And
explain
the
why we
gay,
played it at
horrible
all.
community. Yeah, we played it because we didn't have jobs at the time.
First off, we didn't have jobs.
It was
Secondly,
about 15
friends
years
got
ago.
us into it.
Yeah, friends
So
got
it's
us
not
into
like
it. They were
it
willing
wasn't
to
originally
introduce
my
us.
choice.
They were willing to introduce us and sort of walk us through all the experiences. One of them had a few level 50s already by that point, so he had known a
Only
lot of the
level
leveling
50s. This is my
system.
favorite thing about it is only level 50s.
He
I
never
didn't
he never got to
realize
60. He never bothered getting to 60 because by the time you get past level 50, the game was a painful slog in vanilla. They fixed that in massive sarcasm quotes. They fixed that by making the leveling today so fast that you just blaze through levels 1 to 60 or
they
58.
had to recently fucking refuculate how the zones level scale
Yeah, in fact
just to refuculate
they
that,
did a
just so that people could
giant
actually play them.
giant level squish recently where the entire 1 through 60 the entire game is now just 1 through 60. It used to be that one zone would be like level 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, and then another zone would be 20 to 25, and then the next zone, the next country would be 25 to 30, and then 35 to 40, and so on. And it would tell you flat out what the level scale of each zone. The monsters would be this, this level and that level.
Honestly, I think they've level squished it a little too much,
Yeah,
so that you actually can't outlevel an area.
that was one of the only positive things about the areas was that oh, I can't take anything. One of the only positive things about the game at the time that sort of kept you going was a sense of travel, a legitimate sense of travel, which would
Yeah, the
take a
sense
long
of
time.
adventure.
Yeah, but
It actually felt like you were
yeah,
progressing.
yeah, not just progressing in level, but you were interacting with a very lived-in, built-in world, a built-up world that had a lot of environment and doodads and a lot of scale to it. And you
And it's very
almost,
comfy.
yeah,
It's
there's,
certainly comfy.
yeah, even in the original form of it. But That's one of the only positives of the original thing, but it was also necessary for keeping that dopamine hit going consistently. Was you always felt like you were moving on to the next thing. And in the modern version of the game, now that they level squished it so everything just scales from 1 to 60 until you move to the next expansion, is that nothing seems distinct anymore. None of the areas have a requirement to be done. You could just
A
do
lot of
any area randomly, and it
a
doesn't
lot of
matter.
classes, they've effectively balanced all the classes now, but a lot of the classes now feel very indistinct.
Yeah,
Very
they're pretty samey,
samey.
and that's not because of that's not done better in World of Warcraft. The game's not better in World
No,
of Warcraft Classic. It's simply different, and that's one of the reasons why people wanted to go back. It was because of that sense of you
they
were.
wanted to unnerf Wind Fury.
Yeah, exactly. Which a lot of those things are bugged out and don't work. But so that's how we started, though. Was we started at the beginning, so we know what we're talking about. We know how bad the original game was.
Yeah, we
The original
have our
game was a
bona fide.
fucking mess. It was
And
unbalanced.
we were able to play it because there were 5 of us.
And it's the
We
same
were
as
able to get
Overwatch.
through dungeons.
Ultimately, it's the same as Overwatch, where it's not balanced. The classes aren't really balanced. It's just a lot of random shit, and it's
It's
really
just a
thrown
big mess.
together.
And a lot of people also just seem to be playing it because of presentation.
Yeah, it's about the polish. They're basically selling the polish, and then you buy the polished product, and you realize it's just a plank of wood. And it's like, oh, this it's not even cut or
It's a
fucking
very nice
sanded
fucking
down.
plank of wood.
But it's not sanded down or anything. It's just really shiny.
It's coated in splinters.
And of
but it's
course,
got some fucking
we have
some
to explain this
on it.
to World of Warcraft fans. We have to explain this explicitly. That is a metaphor. We don't literally mean that the game has shiny graphics. We're talking metaphorically.
Wait,
If you didn't understand that, you will
wait.
never be smart enough to watch the rest of these videos.
Are you
So don't
implying World of
bother.
Warcraft fans are stupid?
Yes.
Are
Well,
World of Warcraft
I'm not
fans
implying it.
dumb?
I'm proving it. I'm proving it objectively,
shit.
scientifically.
Shit, bro, busting out the fucking graphic calculator.
Yeah.
I can prove this on a home computer. In fact,
I can prove
we
this on an
are.
Etch-a-Sketch. We are on home computers. You can also play World of Warcraft on a home computer. You know what one of the shittiest things about World of Warcraft? I can't play it on the Nintendo Switch. But anyways, we did play World of Warcraft, and we...
And it's shame, to our eternal shame, we played it more. I actually participated in raiding. Because again, I get to fucking level. I actually kept going after everyone else quit. Our friend who introduced us to the game.
After I quit, even.
My brother quit. His friend quit. His brother quit. Fucking. I was the only one left. But I was like, but there's more game to be played. Let me keep playing. And so
But
I
Dad,
kept playing.
this is the best part. Anyways,
But
yeah.
this isn't the best part.
But we all did. Our main party did all finally get to level 60. Two of the guys quit because they, I guess, had lives. They certainly
They actually had jobs.
they had more lives than we did. Me and brother, we played the game mostly because we had lives. But the thing is, I hit 60 and I did stuff, and I was like, I'm not going to do any raiding because that raiding shit is obviously for people who don't have souls. And I was right, of course.
I didn't have any desire at first to do raiding. It's like 40 fucking. Do you have 40 friends? No, I fucking don't.
And you had
so
to
I'm not
have
doing this.
you had to do dungeons over and over again to get the gear that would let you be high
Yeah,
enough
the
level
worst-
to do
The
raids.
worst form of grinding.
Yeah, the game was
And
yeah.
itemization
End game was
so
just
bad,
100% grind.
I was wearing greens into fucking Molten Core.
Yeah,
I
that's
was wearing greens until I finally upgraded them with epics.
yeah. And
Like, one of the
I
last
had
things I did.
had grown completely miserable with the game, and it was pretty much empty. And I was like, well, I got to 60, so I'm done. So I left the game and I went to play other games and enjoy myself. And
And yeah, I have to also stress this. I did not really have that much fun in WoW raiding. It was fun maybe the first couple of times I did a
yeah,
raid.
just to see the clusterfuck of it, of 40 people, and it was like, wow, there's a giant thing. But then the structure
There's
kicked
a
in,
giant monster.
like very stiff,
The rote
bland,
memorization of
yeah,
it.
rote structure. And that was also there though at the very beginning when we first got the games. I remember saying, I'm going to play a paladin, but it's going to be a gunslinger paladin.
Yes.
And then so I made the character. I made a paladin, and then it was like, oh, if you try to equip a gun, it's like it just falls through your hand like it's made out of water. I was like, what? And it turns out World of Warcraft subscribes to that theory of RPG game design. No, yeah, it subscribes to that theory of RPG game design where it's like you're only going to do this very limited select set of things that we decide to allow you to do. And that's how original World of Warcraft vanilla was made. It was still basically based and designed off of the limitations of most MMOs. So it was, again, didn't really do that much different. It was just shinier and more polished than the other ones, and gave you it wasted. It was a giant time sink. It would waste as much of your time as possible, but it would still waste as much of your time as humanly possible.
So that's not exactly the same thing.
It was very important. The entire purpose of the monthly fee is the game would have to waste as much of your time as possible, so you had to walk everywhere for the first 40 levels, which would take weeks, and then once you got the mount, it was still not really that much faster than walking. It was simply slightly faster than walking.
It's 60% faster than walking. Understand how fucking slow that is, especially when you've already been walking everywhere for 40 levels.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have to have the money to buy the mount, which you would have to stop spending. You would actually have to stop. You had to no. You had to stop buying skills. You actually had to stop upgrading and buying your skills with each new level, so that you could afford mounts. So you basically had to
create a bank alt to mail all your gear, download some mods, because the default game doesn't support the
Again,
idea
these are all review points for why the original World of Warcraft was always broken and can never be improved by returning to it. But that's a lot of the history. We could go on for days and days about everything that was wrong with WoW Classic.
So many things wrong with the fucking game before we're even getting to after WoW Classic.
And yeah, that's not what these videos are even about. These videos are about how to fix modern WoW. Even though we will go into how to fix WoW Classic, which we won't get into every last thing because it is not possible. There isn't enough space on the internet to describe every last thing. But we're proving our bona fides. We're basically proving our bona fides of what we know about the game more than actual World of Warcraft. Because World of Warcraft fans stay ignorant and angry about these facts. They're not capable of admitting that what we're saying is true.
I'm not proving our bona fides to them. I'm proving our bona fides to ourselves.
To the human race. To actual real human beings with souls.
Understood.
Yeah, World of Warcraft.
It needs to be explained.
The community
deserves an explanation.
The community basically has closed their minds off to any form of criticism, regardless of how it's phrased, what it is, whether it's objectively true or not. It doesn't matter. They closed off their minds because they have attached their egos to the game, so they're not capable of. All they care about is the nostalgia or being placated, the sort of you are the hero, you are the hero, you are the hero syndrome.
The Mick gamer.
Yes. Forma. Anyways, so we, as we start off, we had our group of 5, and each there's dungeons in the game where they have tougher enemies, the elites that would have more health, and then there would be bosses. So that's what the
I'll leave it here actually.
Okay, yeah.
Failing that here.
But that's how we started playing the game, and one of our friends in the party describes his history of playing World of Warcraft as the gayest thing he's ever done in his entire life. And indeed,
I would agree with that.
Indeed, it is true. From the original vanilla to modern, World of Warcraft's blood is too gay to save a life.
That is pretty gay.
Anyways,
that's bad.
Through the past 15 years, we would regularly make suggestions to we would submit suggestions either by playing PTR sometimes, because eventually we've gone back to the game several times on a semi-regular basis, like once every year or two we would renew for a couple months, something like that. And we would make suggestions. We would just talk to each other. Sometimes we would post on message boards, just general message boards, being like, you know what, would really fix the game if they did this. Or we would play the patch test realms, because you could just play for free and not have to pay the monthly fee, which is one of the most ass-blasting things about the games.
The fucking monthly fee.
Yeah, is having to pay $15. Yet another improvement that Warframe has over World of Warcraft. No monthly fee. In fact, no fee at all to play Warframe. And it's not pay to win or any of that shit either in Warframe. You can do everything in this game for free without paying a single cent.
I give them money. I give them my money occasionally. I do it because I like the game.
Voluntarily.
Not because they force me to.
Yes, I do it voluntarily. And I don't do it, I don't even do it monthly in Warframe. But you can't play World of Warcraft, or at least you couldn't for a long time. Recently, they let you, if you have an account, if you've ever had an account with Blizzard Battle.net, you can play a character from level 1 to 20. But you could do that for free without paying the monthly fee. But you could probably do that over the course of one day, because they did the level squish, but they also did they did it sort of in both directions, where it takes so much less XP to get from 1 to 20.
They also let you buy a month of subscription with gold.
Oh yeah, with in-game currency. That's a weird change too, because it's kind of a lot of gold, and it's so much easier to just fucking get to scrape together $15 for a month. And you can basically get an entire lifetime worth of playing in just 1 month.
Yeah, you'll experience everything you need to know about the game in a month.
Yeah, possibly less. And that was that's another thing that hasn't changed. That's true about vanilla, and that's true about modern. Wow.
Saying all this, though, I will admit I've gotten enjoyment out of the game occasionally, and it is one of the more comfy games.
Yeah, because
there are positives about the game.
Which is the reason why it was played, and it's the reason why we did play it. It's the
reason why it was the most popular MMO of all time, also.
Well, also because it polished everything so much.
Well, yeah, I'd say the biggest reason why it's the biggest MMO is because the competition was so bad.
Yeah, every other MMO was indeed complete dog shit. They were painful, and you'll still see a lot of people completely white knighting and saying, "No, Dark Age of Camelot was good." 20 years later, they'll say that. And it's like, really? When's the last time you played it?
Ragnarok Online.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Ragnarok Online was always bad. And there's a lot of people who are just delusional or have shit taste. It's like the people who will tell you, no, the Star Wars prequels are actually really good. Those are the kinds of people who will tell you that those old MMOs were good. They're people who you wouldn't, if you met them in real life, you would never listen to them. You'd be like, how much is this fucking stupid asshole gonna keep bullshitting? This guy is a complete idiot.
Why would somebody
Was it George Carlin who talked about, like, when you meet an American, when you're in a foreign country and you meet another American, and after talking to them for a couple minutes, you realize, if I was in America talking to this person, I would immediately walk away from them, because I would realize they're a complete idiot. That's basically what it's like fucking listening to most people talk about MMOs. Most of them just because they're not honest. They're not honest people. They're not capable of being honest. They don't understand what it's like and how to do it.
They're blinded by nostalgia, or they have shit taste.
Yeah, which is pretty much the same thing.
They're a guild class officer. That's another thing we will have to cover is guild class officers. That is a fucking huge problem.
That is a problem. That's not a problem with the game. That's a problem with the human animal. It's a problem with the species that we, unfortunately, apparently share some fucking common genetic lineage with, allegedly. To be honest, I'm not really sold.
Doesn't seem like it most of the time. Seems very much more like they are the normal chattel.
Yes, the fucking they got a herd of normie cattle. Ooh, we got a herd of normie cattle.
Normie cattle. They got a big, awesome herd of fucking
Normie
normie
cattle,
cattle,
and they
and they shit.
shit. But so yeah, we are the most suited for talking about how to fix World of Warcraft because
Finally,
we're the most honest and we're the most capable
finally,
and aware.
somebody has taken up the mantle.
We have a pretty decent understanding of video game design and design theory and that kind of shit, which isn't that hard
Yeah,
to figure out.
especially
But we've studied
design
it.
theory.
We've studied
Yeah,
it more
it's
than
not hard to figure out.
more than
But yet
anyone who likes World of
people
Warcraft.
people still don't seem to get it, so we got to explain
Yeah,
it.
so
we're gonna
so
have to
we
explain
understand
it
why
ourselves.
people liked it, and we understand why we were even into it. And there's other reasons too. The fact
I
that
can explain the things I like about the game.
the
That part,
scale the scale of content is legitimately gigantic. Each country
even in
was
classic,
huge and had a giant, space. The problem is, as with all MMOs, is most of that space is just empty. It just has enemies in it, or if you see something in the background, sort of like that one comic where the guy's like, "Oh, there's a windmill in the background. I wonder what happens when I go there." And then after playing for a month or two, you're like, "Oh, the wiki says there's nothing there. I'm not going to even bother exploring it,"
yeah, just
which is
skip
true.
it. That's exactly, and that's a huge disappointment.
Yeah,
And it seems like an
and
easy
World
fix.
of Warcraft Vanilla
Put something in
never
there. Why not
fucking
just do
did it.
that?
Yeah, World of Warcraft Vanilla would do that constantly, where they would put doodads in the background and you'd be like, whoa, what's there? You go there and there's nothing.
That looks amazing. What is this amazing thing?
I want to
And you go there,
explore
you can
this.
see there's-
Yeah, it actually punished exploration, and that is objectively undeniable. World of
I don't
Warcraft
know what's
Vanilla
worse.
punished exploration.
Either having nothing there or having something there, but it's just another quest. And since you don't have the quest, you have no reason to go there yet.
But
It's like,
Bioshock,
okay,
yeah,
where's the
and then
quest?
sometimes if you sometimes you would have to later take the quest. This is another thing that fucking a lot of RPGs do and a lot of video games do wrong, but especially World of Warcraft is you would go there something interesting, be like, oh, what's there, and there would be nothing, but then you would later take a quest that would make something be there. And it's like, why can't I just wander there and the quest is whatever I find there? Instead, no, you have to click on a person with a gold exclamation mark over their head before
And
it
then
becomes
you get
anything.
you get instanced out of the fucking zone.
Yeah, that was
It's like, oh,
another
maybe I can invite my friend
giant
to come
mistake.
join me in this
Giant
area.
flaw in the game
In fact,
design in
that's
later
something we have to
iterations.
bring up later. We'll have
Yeah.
to bring that up later, I hope.
We have to make
Because
sure that's in the
very
notes.
important.
I don't know if that's in the notes. We'll make sure.
That's a critical failing, a critical blunder.
But again, see, there's a billion things we can mention just off the top of our heads, everything wrong with the game. And again,
And so much more.
there's so much more, and yet still the game is playable. I've been playing it again recently. In fact, it's a really good idea is wait for an expansion to become free, and then just play it without having to pay any money. That's
Yeah, the two
what I did with
the two
Legion just
primary
now.
things. Yeah, exactly. With Legion in particular, but even the previous expansion, the two primary things I've been doing to play this game lately is I wait for a raid to become obsolete and then solo it, and then I wait for an expansion to become free and then finally play it. Because I'm not paying money for this shit anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not going to suffer
Bad enough I
like
got paid $15 a month.
I'm not going to spend like 4 to 8 hours doing a raid when I could just go fucking do a raid over like a half hour, a few years later after I've completely outleveled it. I've found that I've done both where I have played Molten Core when I was level 60 and there was no Burning Crusade yet. And then I have played Molten Core when I was level 80, just completely soloing it. And it is more fun to play Molten Core when I'm just solo.
Fun. Hoo boy. Hoo boy is it more fun.
And people will say, no, it's more fun when it's difficult. That's not true, because you're not actually achieving. People act like when you play a hard
Objectively
difficulty
untrue.
game, you're fucking achieving something. The fact is, you're never actually ever going to achieve anything by beating a fucking difficult video game. All you do is you
Yes,
finished
that's an
you
invalid
finished a
viewpoint.
challenging toy. and it can be fun, but you are not accomplishing anything real.
Yeah,
You're accomplishing something fake.
You may feel a sense of accomplishment
Yes,
for
it's
solving
a fake
Rubik's Cube.
Yes.
It is still nothing but a fucking brick, a plastic brick that you turn on a gimbal.
It's a colorful plastic brick, and that's all it is.
And that's it.
And it doesn't
Guess
have
what?
to be
You
anything
feel,
more than that.
Accomplished?
Yeah.
You didn't really accomplish.
Stop trying to make it more than that. You are a faggot. You will always be an unbearable, whiny little bitch-made faggot if you try to make it something more than that. Just because you can beat Sekiro doesn't mean you have accomplished something. You may have had fun and you may have had a good time, and let that be enough. That's all it needs to be. If you try to make it more, you are a LARPing queer who is trying to pretend that you're important.
Other people they didn't have fun because they didn't do that.
Yeah, stop.
You're wrong. You're objectively wrong.
Even if they're wrong too, stop whining. Who gives a shit? Don't be a little baby about it. Someone cheated at a game. Oh, they cheated at a single-player game. If they're cheating at a multiplayer game, yeah, they're fucking up your experience. That is wrong. But if they're cheating at a single-player game, and they're like, yeah, I cheated at the single-player game to beat it, what you can do about it, and you actually get mad about it, you're a faggot. And there's nothing you can do about it. You'll never be anything more than that. Even if they are wrong, they're fucking like, yeah, what you can do about it. They're faggot too. But that doesn't matter. You are no better than them if you actually get mad. It's the ancient rules of trolling that apparently no one else is aware of anymore. Is that whoever gets the most mad is the loser. I don't know why we would need to explain this to anyone either. It's so obvious. It's so fucking bare bones and simple.
If you could fucking attach WoW fags and their anger to a generator, you could power Las Vegas for a year.
Well, if one WoW fag.
A single WoW fag, the amount of rage they put out just over the game, not even other people criticizing their favorite piece of shit game. But just imagine, even worse than that, is somebody having legitimate criticisms about the game and saying that it should be changed, and then the game getting changed. Holy shit. You're going to see WoW fags. They go off like a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, they are. That's one thing we learned from the past 15 years of playing World of Warcraft, is that some of the most emotionally weak people on the planet are World of Warcraft fans, anime fans, comic book nerds. That's kind of it. That's the bottom tier of the human species.
Not even anime fans get that fucking pissy, and that's
they do.
That's pretty bad.
They get extremely pissy very easily.
Hard to do.
More easily than anyone else. But the fucking World of Warcraft fans, I think, might take the fucking champion. And the thing is, I've seen World of Warcraft fans move to other games and end up just like that. Like a lot of them ended up in Overwatch. Sometimes you see them show up in Warframe, but they don't seem to last long, which is good because the community.
You can identify them by the level of anger they get.
Yeah.
They express over menial, unimportant issues.
A multiplayer game is really only as good as the community, and Warframe has actually a relatively decent community. It's not perfect, of course.
Well, compared to WoW, it's like a breath of fresh air.
But even like the Call of Duty community,
incredible.
Even Call of Duty on consoles is a better community because a lot of those people just talk empty shit and that's it. World of Warcraft fans will become obsessed with you for years and try to dox you and destroy your life.
In Call of Duty are just children.
Yeah, they're merely children.
Just children.
World of Warcraft fans act like children, but a lot of them are sadly grown up. They're grown up in the sense that they are grown-ups, which is something only a child would refer to an adult as.
Grown up cum.
They're grown up cum. Yeah, that's how childish they are. They're still cum, but they're grown up versions of it.
They're old cum.
Is that even possible? Apparently, yes. So anyways, that's our bona fides for the past 15 years, not just playing the game, but also making suggestions and studying.
Yeah, in fact, yeah.
That got taken into the game. We made suggestions that got made into the game.
If you're somebody who's been itching for WoW Classic, you really haven't been. But if you're one of those people who's like, you need to bring back WoW Classic because all the expansions ruined everything. Guess what? We're actually responsible for those expansions being the way they are.
Yeah.
And we'll explain how in our later videos.
Yeah.
You can explain what else you can be pissy about, little cunty fucking girl arguments. You can have your girl arguments over.
One of the first and most blatant was we were the first, among the first people to tell them that you should be able to get mounts at least at level 30, and you should be able, they should cost that much less, and be, easy, that you should be able to get the faster ones with that much ease. And they eventually did that. They did that very soon after we started suggesting it. Now, I'm not sure. I'm sure we're not the only people who said that should be true.
I don't know if we can take credit for that. Maybe we shouldn't be taking.
No, well, no, we deserve credit for that because we are some of the only people who vocally and publicly said it. Of course, we said it on important places, so not the World of Warcraft forums. We would say it actually on the in the patch test realms where you could report every item, every enemy, monster, and all that shit. And I would just start reporting items and monsters and then leaving feedback that was completely unrelated. Like I would say, fucking, you should be able to get mounts at level 30 as I report this, like, piece of copper ore. and leave a comment on the copper ore saying you should get mounts at level 30.
Why do I have to fucking work so hard for this tiny amount of copper ore?
One of the other things
copper ore, I don't even need it.
We can absolutely take credit for is class-based quests. That was our idea. Like a class-based quest line that involved upgrades for specifically your class, like hunter, warrior, shaman, whatever. It would revolve directly around the skills of your class, and then it would give you rewards based directly on your class abilities and your class stats and that kind of shit too. That was directly us first.
One thing, I don't know how long it took them to realize this, but
several years. I remember it was several years.
In particular with fucking Legion, they finally added like class-based specific weapons. I remember saying specifically weapons, gear in particular, weapons specifically, too important to the fucking player character's power. Way too important. And it's like, either give us easier ones or make them less important.
Make them more focused. Either make them less important or make them more specifically tuned to each class. And they did with
Legion specifically did that.
Yeah, but also before that,
class-specific quests, but also weapons that you get from them.
Before that, they would make like a hunter or a shaman would wear mail, and they would just make every piece of mail armor that you could get would have stats that would be blanked out depending on your class or your. So every piece would have stamina and intellect,
spirit,
or not spirit. No, it wouldn't have spirit, but it would have intellect or agility. And if you're a shaman, it would give you the intellect and blank out the agility. And then if you're a hunter, it would blank out the intellect and give you the agility. So each piece of gear would decide its stats based on and the alternative in World of Warcraft Vanilla, the alternative to that was you got nothing. You got a piece of gear that just had spirit on it, which did nothing, and then maybe it would have some stamina on it, and then sometimes you'd find a piece of gear that you could wear, but it would just have strength, which no one could use.
Yeah, you would get cloth pieces that had strength and agility on it. And it's like, well, I wear cloth. Nobody who wears cloth needs either of these stats. But here it is. There you go. There's your upgrade. And that's the only piece of gear you're going to see for the next 10 levels.
And it's entirely possible they put that in just as a fuck you to the player to be like, haha, here's a piece of gear that you can't use and is a detriment to your class.
You do get the feeling Blizzard hates their own customers.
And they're probably right to. After playing World of Warcraft with World of Warcraft players for this many years, they're probably right to feel that way. Anyways, we made a lot of improvements to the game. So that's our
introduction. That's the primer to what we're going to be covering in the next 20 videos.
Yes,
or the next 20 videos, which will all be longer than this.
Yes.
Who knows? Yeah, it could be longer.
We're gonna cut them down. If a video's like over a half hour, we'll just cut it in half and upload the next half fucking a week later, something like that,
Yeah.
just to pad for content.
Yeah,
It
because
could be
this is
lazy.
not some. This is something you people all had a chance to fix years ago and didn't take it.
Or acknowledge, or be honest about, and no one was capable of being honest. Why weren't you capable of being honest about this, people? I mean, this shit isn't even that hard to notice.
I think they have HIV dementia.
You know what?
Their blood
That's
is
the
too
end.
gay.
Well,
Their
yes,
blood is too gay.
their blood is too gay to save a life or to play good video games, apparently.
I wonder why blood would be too gay to save a life.
Because the person owning the blood is also too gay. Anyways,
Not just because not because they're AIDS. They're actually HIV negative. They're just too gay.
they mind controlled their body into having all the symptoms of AIDS without actually having AIDS. It's incredible. Scientists should study that.
Didn't think that was possible.
So yeah, all the suggestions we made would were based around making the game less punishing, less of a waste of time and life, and to open up
Which
more.
makes them fat fucking angry.
It made the game. It would open the game up to more freedom of choice in how to play it, also,
And also,
that
which means that
as a
your
result, every time
welfare efforts.
we brought those up, it would make WoW fags screech autistically, being like, "They would ruin the game," and then they would introduce.
Already.
Then Blizzard would introduce those things we brought up into the game, and they would screech autistically and whine, but still keep playing the game, and they would buy the new expansion and all that shit. We noticed this pattern every single time.
They're paying $25 for a cosmetic amount.
And a lot of their excuse now is, well, the player base has really dropped off. But the fact is, that's not because of any changes to the game. It's because the competition has increased so much. There's many other MMOs. It's easier to make MMOs now. It's less expensive for people to make them. There's a lot of MMOs that have increased, or that have made a lot of changes to the genre. That I even love Guild Wars 2 that much, but it made a lot of really positive changes to the MMO, the form of video game that is massively multiplayer online games.
Kind of blowing into the mic a bit too much. Is the mic too close?
It's in front of my mouth. I can't really. If I move it somewhere else, then it's like.
Now it's even louder.
If I move it to the side, it becomes too quiet, though. It also moves itself. Another thing is that my microphone moves itself. I move it like up out of the way of my mouth, and it starts moving itself back down again.
None of this bothers me, but I have a feeling there's going to be
people again.
Our video.
Yeah, they will criticize our points by saying that I'm blowing into the microphone, which I'm not either. The microphone wasn't actually in front of my mouth, but it just ends up. It's a cheap microphone.
That's a valid argument.
Yeah, and that goes to show that is objective proof that World of Warcraft fans cannot argue that, because that is always their argument, and that ties into everything we say about World of Warcraft. One of the biggest problems of World of Warcraft is, and one of the things that consistently made World of Warcraft stay shitty for a long time, was that the fans would whine if there was ever a complaint. The same thing happened with Counter-Strike years and years ago. Anytime any change was made to balance the game, it would change things too much and the players would complain. But
to specifically fix critical issues with gameplay balance.
But the thing is, if the developers ignored it, the players would eventually just keep playing and stop complaining anyways, and they would get used to it. And that is what happened with World of Warcraft. Along with that, WoW fags would autistically screech and not understand the purpose of any of our arguments or points, and they would do the usual straw man thing
or
that WoW
own.
fags do, where they would say we're recommending something that we never recommended, and that's going to happen again when they, in these videos.
Yeah, get ready for that shit.
Yeah, and this as we said,
doing our best fucking effort.
This is something we've all seen before, so it's very predictable patterns of behavior that we've also documented in many other videos and reviews.
they're not even worth consideration or acknowledgement.
Yeah,
So we won't be
because
doing
they're not
that.
arguments, and if they can't make arguments, that's the thing. Too many people waste their time acknowledging and giving the time of day to things that aren't arguments or valid or worthwhile. Most people, especially World of Warcraft fans, are the most guilty of this, of just yelling their emotions and saying that's their argument. And, again, that's something we have seen, documented, and debunked many times over the past 15 years. So we're not even going to really get that much more into that. We'll be focusing on what can be changed and improved through modern WoW and even classic.
Yeah, we'll be covering the issues that were problems in WoW Classic that they fixed in the
Yeah, we'll
expansion.
we'll also be doing that. Yeah, things that they have changed in the expansions that are actually improvements, and sometimes there's side grades, sometimes there's downgrades. Although those are going to be very rare. And most of the flaws in the original WoW Classic are just flaws in the entire MMO genre of the time. Stopping to drink was something they said. Stopping to eat and drink after every fight was something they said they were going to not do, and then it's something that they did. And it was one of the things that completely kneecapped and destroyed
Yeah, completely fucked
potential
up flow.
promising games like Ragnarok Online and Lineage 2. I remember playing.
And
Uh,
then guess what they did in WoW? They fucking got rid of it eventually.
yeah. These days you don't really have to. You can do it, but the need to do it is almost completely eliminated. So it leaves more time for you to get into the actual meat of the game.
And I'm pretty sure I wrote down some suggestions for how I could fix it further. And those should be in the fucking
Yeah,
thing.
we should be
We'll
able
be
to. We
bringing
should be getting to those.
we're not just uh, noticing problems and how to fix them. We're giving further advancements in how to fix the game even more.
One other really important note is that although the WoW fags will be strawmanning us, that's going to be happening, and
My
because we've seen
fags,
it
oh,
all
my
before,
fags, oh, my
and
fags.
all arguments officially declaring right here forever, proactively and retroactively, that all arguments against us have officially been lost before they could ever lose, and therefore are metaphysically destroyed and dismissed sight unseen. And therefore, we won before any of you ever even showed up and had anything to say. Another point, WoW fags are incapable of understanding that the drop in player base is not because of the bad changes were made, but because of the competition, as I pointed out. And there's
The
more
competition, and
MMOs.
not
There's
just other MMOs, but just other games in
yeah,
general.
roguelikes
WoW
that
Zone
involve
stagnation.
randomized experiences and loot drops, more customization, more freedom in other games that involve
Not to mention the community. The
more
community
choice.
tends to chase people off like that.
Also, a lot of the old players have grown up and got more jobs, so they have less time to invest an hour in walking to one quest, finishing it, walking back with an inventory of random garbage that you have to sell or bank, which is one of the other things about WoW Classic that was a
Carefully
massive
sort
drain on
through
your time and energy.
a massive unnecessary drain.
Mhm. Anyways, because we're responsible for a majority of the improvements in the game, we're introducing this new series that we will be getting into, and as introduced. So you have that to look forward to. Uh, so
You're
in
welcome.
Yes, you're welcome, world and human race, and we'll see you next time, probably within a week. Probably next week. It should be a weekly thing, unless we do one of our other weekly videos. We're just gonna release a video a week from now on. So we'll have, again, for content padding, so you can enjoy this and enjoy more stuff in the future.
You can enjoy this, or you can go to hell.
Yes. So make sure to unlike, reshare, uncomment, resubscribe. Make sure you're still unsubscribed. And then, what's our forced catchphrase again?
Should have listened to SWC.